The following recording is a production of Kickin' Out at 2 in conjunction with the Retromania Pro Wrestling Podcast Network and is intended for private use only. For more information, head on over to facebook.com/Kickin' Out at 2 or our Twitter handle @Kickin' Out 2, along with searching Retromania with a W on any and all podcast platforms available to listen to archive shows such as this and all the great content of the Retromania Pro Wrestling Podcast Network. Evergreen content at your fingertips anytime at your listening pleasure. And with that being said, we thank you for listening and hope you enjoy the show. Another celebration is in order with this episode of Kickin' Out at 2 as we celebrate and will continue to celebrate the 30th anniversary of Monday Night Raw here in wrestling history. I am one half of your hosting squad, Dave Rosenbluth. Joining me, as always, my good, dear, personal, longtime friend, Mr. Dennis J. Levy. What's up, pal?
Dave, always a pleasure. That's going to be a fun episode. One of my, I don't want to say one of my favorites, but I did enjoy this match on Raw between Ric Flair and Mr. Perfect a lot.
Yes. This is one of the early episodes of Monday Night Raw. This is the third episode of Monday Night Raw in its infancy. If you go in the archives at Retromania, Kobe Nida and I, for marking out the days, the season known as Raw is 30, is we watched the annual episode of Monday Night Raw, the very first one from January 11th, 1993. That's up in the archives. You can find that over at Retromania by searching Retromania with a W. But I took to the polls, and I went on Twitter, and I asked all you guys which episode of Monday Night Raw from the month of January you wanted us to watch and cover in watch-along form. And it was this episode when Ric Flair leaves the WWF. It was the Mike Tyson-Steve Austin confrontation. Vince McMahon returning in January of 2003, and then the Raw Roulette from January of 2008. And it came pretty close. And actually, it was a tie between Tyson and Austin and Ric Flair leaving the WWF. And I went to Dennis and I said, which one would you like to watch? And he said, let's watch Ric Flair leaving the WWF in 1993. So, we have decided that that's the episode that we're going to watch with all of you. Once you find it on Peacock, which is it's not the worst app in America anymore. I've been saying this for a while. It's actually gotten a little bit better. Getting to, finding certain things still is a slight issue, but actually navigating, like putting a show up in the queue, it doesn't take as long. You fast forward is much easier. So this show runs 45 minutes and 2 seconds. It's from Season 1, Episode 3, January 25th, 1993. Ric Flair battles Mr. Perfect, and the loser must leave the WWF. Not the WWE, the WWF. So when I say play, press play. From time to time, we're going to put the audio up. I'll let you know. I'll give you guys a timestamp. As we watch something from February of 1993, continue March, April, May, so on and so forth. You get the picture. And we're going to have a lot of fun with it. So, from February of 1993, continue March, April, May, so on and so forth. You get the picture. And we're going to have a lot of fun with it. So, 1993, continue March, April, May, so on and so forth. You get the picture. And we're going to have a lot of fun with it. So, you'll continue March, April, May, so on and so forth. You get the picture. And we're going to have a lot of fun with it. So, you'll definitely have a good time, and there's a lot in store for that podcast, as well as this one. Doing a lot of roulette-style options when it comes to watch-alongs, because we're going to be covering the years 1993, 1988, 1998, 2003, and 2008 in wrestling history. Not just WWE. We'll be covering WCW. We'll be covering ECW. We'll be covering NWA. We'll be covering even some TNA stuff. So I'm going to try and go across the board. We're going to be doing watch-alongs. Watch-alongs would be the main focus, but we'll also be throwing in some reviews. We're gonna sit down separately, Dennis and I, and watch a pay-per-view, and we're gonna give it a recap, if you will, in-depth conversation without actually doing a watch-along of it. So that's gonna be a lot of fun. We're gonna do that sort of thing. So be on the lookout for all that stuff coming your way, courtesy of Kickin' Out at 2 and the Retromania Pro Wrestling Podcast Network. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say press play. You're going to press play, and we're going to have a little fun with this watch-along. So I'm going to give you a countdown. In 3, 2, 1, hit play. As we open live from New York City, baby.
Yeah.
Outside the Manhattan Center. Here's Sean Mooney. Let's play the audio for this.
Repo Man. And after what took place last week, Repo Man, you're a little bit late here. You mean I'm a little bit late? Nobody knows where I am at any time, and I'm here. Did I miss this moment? I don't know. A lot of people didn't know if you're going to show up tonight to face the Macho Man Randy Savage after what took place last week. This is like repossessing a brand new Cadillac. Randy Savage! Repossess your career just like I did your head. I'm here.
He repoed a hat.
Be ready for me, because I'm ready for you. Woo.
Henny.
Welcome to New York City. Welcome to the Manhattan Center. Welcome to Monday Night Raw.
Who the fuck is that?
Along with Bobby the Brain Heenan and Rob Bartlett.
Rob Bartlett, former comedian.
Giant the mighty Kamala. And then tag team action. Look out, headed your way. Luke and Butch, the Bushwhackers.
And of course, a match I can't wait to see, Vince. Macho Man Randy Savage versus the Repo Man. He's got Randy's hat and my car. I don't need to tell you who I'm going to be rooting for. I don't care about a junky car or a cheap hat. The WWF is not big enough for both of them. And I'm talking about Ric Flair and Mr. Perfect. Career is on the line. You have seen the last of Mr. Perfect. Woo! Here we go.
All right, we got a hot start to this episode of Monday Night Raw. Looks like Repo Man's going to be taking on Macho Man. Repo Man.
That was a good theme, yeah. That, big fan of Demolition, obviously.
Yeah, we talked about it on that episode. This looks like this is a now this was the night after the 1993 Royal Rumble event. So was this taped or was this had to have been live? But there was no internet and spoilers back in the day, so I'm not quite sure. I can look that up. But Yokozuna won the 1993 Royal Rumble. Bret Hart defeated Razor Ramon. Here comes Macho Man Randy Savage.
It was his hat back.
Yeah. Now, at the time of this recording, it's January the 10th as we're recording this. We're going to be dropping this next week. The 18th of January we'll be dropping this, and the week following the 18th would be the 25th. 2 days before that would be the 23rd, which it appears that the WWE is going to be doing a 30th anniversary special for Monday Night Raw. There's a rumor that they might be going... Do you remember when they did the Raw 25-year anniversary and they held part of it at the Manhattan Center?
Yeah.
There's been talk of doing that again. There's, I guess, some plans to make a big deal out of this with the 30th anniversary. It's going to be like an all-hands-on-deck kind of show.
Yeah.
A lot of legends, guys from the past.
I kind of hope they don't do it. I thought it was anticlimactic.
But then I heard that the Raw from that evening is going to emanate from the Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia. So I don't think, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think that they have plans to run the Manhattan Center at this time for the 30th anniversary of Monday Night Raw. Although I think it would be kind of cool if they ran this building. Yeah, add a little nostalgia to it. You know, I liked it when they did it the last time. The only problem was they wasted it on like 3 segments there. Like it was a Bray Wyatt match, and then Undertaker came out after he had apparently retired the first time. And then they had DX stand in the ring and beat up, their FTR.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It was just stupid. Like, they should have just ran the whole 3-hour show from there. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, totally. I don't know. It just didn't make any sense to me. And it felt like the matches weren't that great. And, like, even that DX thing, you're like...
The way they had that anniversary set up, I thought it was kind of silly. They were in Brooklyn for the main show, and then they would cut to this building here, the Manhattan Center, which also in that same building is the Hammerstein Ballroom. So where ECW used to hold some events as well. TNA did some television tapings from this very facility, the Manhattan Center, in late 2000s.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah.
Like 2015, 2016, I think.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's got like a neat little like old Carney style, like it's got like an independent wrestling feel to it in a way.
I'd like to know what they use it normally for. It's like for like plays and stuff and
concerts too. I think. So where the fans are sitting, where the hard camera's facing.
Yeah.
Where they're sitting right there. That's like a staging area. So they just put like risers, like bleachers up in that staging area where you see that red backdrop over there.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that's a staging area. There's actually a stage there. So yeah, I would imagine there's concerts or even plays, theater of some kind.
I see a balcony, so
yeah. But these old Raws from '93, even though the action wasn't that great, I don't know. Maybe just because I'm older. I'm 40 now. I like the nostalgic look to it. Like,
I do too, actually.
You know?
Yeah. I'm just saying that I would love to have a full Raw back in this arena, whatever. But if they do it the way they did it 5 years ago, it was awful, in my opinion. I did not enjoy it.
Yeah, it sounds like they're not going to go back.
And can you imagine being that poor guy who probably paid like $500 for that ticket, and you got 3 matches, essentially, 2 matches in a segment?
Well, 2 segments in a match, really.
Oh yeah, excuse me, yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty weak. I'm not gonna lie, that was pretty weak. Like this storyline here of the Repo Man repossessing Randy Savage's hat. Like, this is the best way they could use Randy Savage in '93. I wouldn't say I'm sour grapes, but Randy Savage had a lot to offer at that time. He
proved it at WCW.
Yeah, I'm floored that Vince didn't see more for him.
Yeah.
I know that he was trying to go for more youth with Brett and Shawn and Razor and Undertaker and all those guys, but I feel like Savage still had a place in the ring, and Savage could have worked with Shawn, and they would have had he could have. The rumor I heard was that he wanted to work with Shawn and pass the torch.
Yeah.
But Vince didn't want anything to do with it.
I don't know. He definitely, in my opinion, proved that he had a lot of meat on the bone when it came to his wrestling career. Like I'll die in this hill. I know people want to say, Hogan, Hogan Macho, or maybe even Jake the Snake Macho. My favorite rivalry of all time, Diamond Dallas Page Macho Man. That was my favorite rivalry excuse me if I did use better terminology, for Macho Man or DDP. That was my favorite rivalry for those.
For either of those guys?
Yeah.
I mean, you can't argue. Savage helped make Page into a main eventer and a household name. Beating him in the main event on a pay-per-view. That was definitely a big deal.
He could have done that for Shawn. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or anybody.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about, you and I have had we've had conversations in the group text before about like woulda, coulda, shouldas, and that's what I love about doing this podcast is when we watch this stuff, we can go back and be like woulda, coulda, shoulda, and I think Randy Savage definitely could have played a larger role during this era, and he still wouldn't have taken away from them trying to spotlight the younger guys. Like, here's another thing that like baffled me, right? How come Randy Savage and Undertaker never had a rivalry?
You're right.
Like, I remember, I think that they've had like one match, like 1 or 2 matches, like
I don't even
singles matches, like a Coliseum home video exclusive or something like that, but nothing ever like substantial. Like when Savage was wrestling Jake, he was focused on Jake, but Undertaker was still a bad guy. Why didn't we ever see those matches?
Great point.
Like there was so much left on the table for Randy Savage during this time period. You know, the list of guys he could have worked with. You know, WrestleMania 9 could have... WrestleMania 9, most people consider arguably one of the worst WrestleManias of all time. Based on a lot of different things. Mainly the Hogan finish at the end.
It was bad.
But Randy Savage could have played an integral part on that show in a match against someone like a Razor Ramon. Or even Lex Luger. You know?
Yeah.
Lex Luger was another one that, like, came in and made a splash. And Savage could have really helped further him up the card. But...
yeah, because definitely Lex Luger definitely fell very flat. He needed someone to carry him, and when he was wrestling like Yokozuna, you know, and he had to carry the match. Oh, they were stinkers. But you get Macho, it could have been different. You're absolutely right, in my opinion.
Like I thought honestly, Savage and Razor was going to be a mid-card type of match at WrestleMania. Like, I didn't think Savage wasn't going to be wrestling at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Let me put it to you that way. Because I thought that Savage and Razor still had unfinished business when Razor cost them the belt. You know? And so I thought that WrestleMania was going to be the blow-off. And then instead they put Razor Ramon with Bob Backlund.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't know. Yeah. That,
But look at Savage.
Him, Razor, then out of WrestleMania match is mind-boggling.
Oh, elbow
That's
drop. That's got to be it. That's it right there. Finish is over. Savage wins. And he gets his hat back. Oh, yeah. I got my lucky hat back. Yeah, that's right. Now I'm really a macho man, huh?
That would be funny if it, like, you read a Macho Man, like, autobiography where it's like, most important match of my life was against the Repo Man, getting that hat back.
If there's a Mount Rushmore of Macho Man matches, it's the WrestleMania match with Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, Ted DiBiase, and the Repo Man. Uh-huh. Yeah, look, he's not done with Repo Man yet. He wants some more. Get your hat, dude. Otherwise, he's going to take it again.
It's true.
What are you doing? He went from...
there it is.
Oh, he's going to get it. Oh, you want me to put it on? Yeah, I'm going to wear it. Yep, that's right. Uh-huh. Cover my bald spot. Yeah, dig it.
I feel bad. I got a bald spot too going.
It's all good. I got some thinning hair myself. So there's... Yeah. That's what happens when you get older. Savage was still cool, though. Even with the bald spot, he was still
totally.
Cool, you know? A lot of untapped content for Randy Savage. Speaking of untapped,
I'm sorry. If I met that girl at a bar, yes, I was banging the shit out of her.
Raw girls.
But dude, that girl looked like she was like a crackhead.
Is this the WrestleMania music video? Let's play it.
Caesar's Palace, the most popular split-dip hotel and casino in existence, proudly presents the most spectacular pay-per-view event of all time, WrestleMania. Las Vegas has become the new family entertainment capital of the world, and your family will experience excitement, fun, and action as never before as WrestleMania comes to the crown jewel of Las Vegas, Caesar's Palace. Relive the legend at the home of champions on Sunday afternoon, April 4. It's WrestleMania.
Listen to that theme, man.
I love that theme. It gets you so hyped. Like I'll edit it into my intros sometimes during WrestleMania season when we cover a show for WrestleMania. Like it just gets you pumped up, you know. Like that pumped me up just listening to that for WrestleMania. That feeling will never go away as a wrestling fan. No matter what you feel about WWE and the current product, like WrestleMania will always, I don't know, just get you feeling a certain way.
Random song from like an up and comer. I don't like it.
Yeah, it's okay. It's whatever. Speaking of whatever, here's Kamala as a babyface with Slick as his manager taking on the Brooklyn Brawler here.
I'm assuming that Kamala's in the Hall of Fame, yeah?
No, Kamala is not in the Hall of Fame. That's another one I think that probably should go.
Because who I think should go as well, I think Brooklyn Brawler. I think He deserves it. I really do.
I'm with you there. Brooklyn Brawler was very integral in making guys into household names as a performer.
I put Brooklyn Brawler and Bear Horowitz both in the Hall of Fame, in my opinion. But I was Slick Rick. Tell me Slick Rick's in the Hall of Fame.
Flair?
No.
Slick?
Slick, yeah.
He's not a Rick. He's
I'm
just the
saying-
doctor's Slick.
Yeah,
He's in the Hall of Fame. Wait a minute. Is he?
Oh, come on.
He's not. No, he's not.
Slick is not in the Hall of Fame. That's unbelievable to me. What's Kamala doing to poor Brooklyn? Anyway.
Yeah, that was a little weird there. I don't know what that was all about, but
put his butt literally right in his nose. Anyway.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of this Kamala or Slick being a babyface. I liked Slick as a bad guy manager. Like, I just thought.
Yeah, me too. Is this where he's the priester?
Yeah, the priester.
A priest.
You just took.
No, pastor. There we go.
I don't know what you want to consider, but
I'm Jewish. What the fuck?
The priester. Look at it, and then the way Kamala used to cover guys, like he did. You know, that was interesting. I like that little quirkiness about his character. I like that. The priester.
I mean,
the doctor of priester, Slick. That's his name. That's what he's now called on this show. The doctor of priester, Slick.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've been to a church.
They know what you meant.
I'm Jewish.
They know what you meant. Okay, they know what you meant.
Sorry.
Okay, you don't have to apologize.
I insulted anyone.
You didn't insult anybody.
If you're a priest or a pastor, I apologize.
I hardly think any of them would be listening to this.
You never know.
podcast.
You think you've got people from Australia listening to us, so you never know.
Yeah, I do have some international listeners. I'm not going to lie. I do. I appreciate the international flavor of the fan base, of the brand, if you will. I like it. There's Kamala slapping the belt. He slipped and fell. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, he's not in the Hall of Fame either. Brawler's under the rope. Like, come on.
Is he still alive though, Kamala?
Kamala died a couple years ago.
I heard like amputated with diabetes.
Both his legs got amputated. He was confined to a wheelchair. And then he passed away a couple of years ago. I think from complications of his diabetes. I think so. Come on, Kamala. Let's end this.
That's kind of boring.
Yeah, I'm kind of over this at this point. You should have just.
I splashed him. Here we go.
Here we go. This better be it.
There it is.
All right. Here we go.
Oh no! What are you doing?
What are you doing? Roll back over again.
Oh God! Please.
This is ridiculous.
This was kind of funny at first, and now it's like.
Yeah, he did it like 3 times already. Like, that should have been.
There it is. Come on! What's going on here? I'm Vince. I go Kamala.
Vince is probably loving this. Like, goddamn, keep it up, pal. You're a stupid Ugandan that doesn't know how to cover the motherfucker on the mat. God damn it. Yeah, that was painful.
And who was the other guy? I mean, like, very famous guy. I'm pissed that I can't think about it. African American gentleman had the African warrior gimmick. And I couldn't
Saba Simba. It was Tony Atlas.
How can you do that to poor Tony?
Beats me. Here, Vince is gonna. This should be good. Vince is going to conduct an interview with these two. Let's play the audio for this.
Colonel Parker? Colonel Parker? You gonna get mixed in brown syrup rolls? No, I'm not Colonel Parker. You gotta, let's see what he has to say. Keep your mouth shut. I must say that this is extraordinary. What you have done for Kamala, Reverend Slick, is outstanding.
Reverend.
Vince McMahon, I appreciate the compliment, but I cannot take full credit for Kamala's Ugandan death. The credit goes to all these wonderful people. You are responsible for the conversion of the Ugandan guy. You opened up your heart to him. And in return, yes, he's opening up his heart to you. But you know, Harvey Whippleman, Kim Chief, you better stay out of the way of the Ugandan guy. Because I'm not going to be responsible for what might happen if he gets one look at you. Thank you very much, Reverend Slick, along with the Ugandan giant, the mighty Kamala. Is McMahon coming back or not? We don't need him. We don't really need him. You know, he asks those guys those fluff questions. Keeps the interview simple. I go hardcore. I get to the meat of everything. I'd ask Kamala,
I don't think Kamala's gimmick would fly nowadays.
He's what?
I don't think Kamala's gimmick would fly nowadays.
No, not with the paint and everything.
Simba?
Yeah.
Oh my god! Can you imagine if they did that gimmick today?
Yeah. Oh, here we go. The Royal Rumble report. Let's play this.
Another great theme.
All right, folks, right here on WWF Monday Night Raw, here we go with your post-Royal Rumble report. Brought to you by our good friends at Coliseum Home Video, the exclusive distributors of the Survivor Series and yesterday's gigantic Royal Rumble. Available at video stores everywhere, February the 11th. All right, ladies and gentlemen, in case you missed the Royal Rumble yesterday, I got to tell you, you missed a lot. We've come to expect the unexpected from World Wrestling Federation pay-per-view events, and it happened again yesterday in California's capital city of Sacramento. Number one, a successful title defense for the World Wrestling Federation champion Bret the Hitman Hart. Then more big news, and I mean really big. The winner of the 30-man Royal Rumble, 500-pound plus Japanese superstar Yokozuna. This tentatively sets up a big main event for WrestleMania 9 on April the 4th of 1993 at Caesars Palace in Las Vegas, Nevada, providing Bret the Hitman Hart retains the World Wrestling Federation title. It'll be him going against challenger Yokozuna. Well, Bobby the Brain Heenan did it again at the Royal Rumble, finally unveiling Narcissus. We had waited for a long time to see just exactly who this individual was, Lex Luger. Now, I am not a big Lex Luger fan, but ladies and gentlemen, I got to tell you, this man looked like the bronzed Adonis. Obviously in fabulous shape, and he's got some goals, some ambitions, some objectives here on the World Wrestling Federation. More big news. I mean, gigantic news in the form of Giant Gonzalez. All of a sudden, during the course of action in the Royal Rumble, Gonzalez brutally attacking The Undertaker. I have never seen The Undertaker manhandled like this. I didn't think anybody could do to The Undertaker what Gonzalez did. And I guarantee you, we have not heard the end of that particular story. I'm sure in the weeks and months to come, there's going to be more to be told about what transpired yesterday at the Royal Rumble. And of course, you can get all of the latest breaking developments right here this coming weekend on the World Wrestling Federation Television Network.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, just listen to that theme music. Come on, we need
that
back.
Up.
We need it back.
Yeah, I guess you pumped up. Here's the Raw girl. I used to like the ring girls with the signs.
Me too, but like this one though, oh my god, this is not a winner.
I bet you she's probably some woman that works in like the legal department. And Vince gave her a little bonus to come out in her bikini, as we see an Icro Pro ad.
Brendan does look jacked there. Give him credit.
Yeah, it's, I mean, the way the camera angle. Integrated conditioning program.
Potato chips? Fuck potato chips.
Yeah. Get a little beef. Get a little spice. Need a little excitement.
I won't lie.
Slap it to a Slim Jim. Oh, yeah.
I can only have them once or twice a year, but Slim Jims are kind of a guilty pleasure of mine. I think they're pretty good.
Yeah. They certainly are. Here we go.
It's the main event time already?
Well, not the main event, but a marquee match here. Ric Flair.
What the hell is the main event if it's not Flair perfect?
The Bushwhackers.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They're wrestling. Yeah, they're on. Ric Flair, Mr. Perfect.
That never made sense to me, like how they did it.
I found out a reason why they did that. Like that.
Yeah, you can tell me.
Well, so when Saturday nights, when they used to produce Saturday Night's main event,
yeah,
it used to be in the time slot for Saturday Night Live on NBC when they would run reruns.
Yeah, like 11:30.
Right. So what they would do is, they for the most part they used to tape Saturday Night's main event because they weren't running shows at 11:30 at night unless you're out in the West Coast and it was live and they're on the West Coast. Anyhow. They used to put the main event marquee matchup that was advertised on first, and they would call it the TV main event because they knew that most of these people that were watching were young kids, and the parents weren't going to let them stay up late, so they would put Hogan and Mr. Perfect on first, or they would put Ultimate Warrior and Ravishing Rick Rude on first, and then they would. If you go back and you watch the old Saturday Night's main events, like, what was it? There was a Saturday Night's Main Event the night that Andre beat Hogan for the belt, and they had the twin referees. That match went on second.
Really?
The main event was Strikeforce and the Hart Foundation, and they ran out of time, and the match was still going on as they went off the air.
I would have lost my mind if I saw that.
Yeah. Well,
but I remember the Hogan.
I mean, it's from it's from February of 1988. I've contemplated wanting to do a watch along of that with you.
Yeah, totally.
We could possibly do that if you want. I don't want to go so heavy on WWF, but at the same time, that's a big moment. Like Andre beating Hogan from that particular that time period and winning the belt and then handing it over to DiBiase. Savage and Honky Tonk Man were the opening match on that card.
Great match.
Then Hogan and Andre for the belt, and then they ended with Strikeforce and the Hart Foundation.
And they ran out of time.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Can you imagine staying up to 1 a.m. and they're like, "Sorry, folks, we're running out of time."
Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, you remember when watching a lot of the WCW programming, Tony Schiavone's favorite line is like, "The tape machines are rolling. We're out of time, folks.
Drive me nuts.
We'll get to you'll see the conclusion of this Saturday on Power Hour or whatever." You know what I mean?
Nuts.
Like,
yeah.
They used to do that a lot. It'd be interesting if they kind of did that in today's world, like nowadays, like. With the advent of cell phone cameras and social media, like you wouldn't have to wait a week. You would just have to wait like an hour or so, and then like you could find it on social media, Twitter, or whatever the case may be. So that's something I think that would be able to fly.
Yeah, it's that other drove me nuts. Like when they would say it's at the end of the show, and they would say like, all right, it's a 10-minute time limit match, right? And they ring the bell. It was like 7 minutes or something. That would drive me nuts too. I'm like, that wasn't 10 minutes. Go suck a dick. I'm like
another interesting story.
Yeah.
I'm going to cut you off for a minute. Another interesting story about that, especially with Ric Flair. I once heard this on Tony Schiavone's podcast. What happened when? In the early days of Jim Crockett, Flair used to boast and talk about how he would wrestle 60 minutes. He would do these 1-hour Broadways with Dusty Rhodes or Ricky Steamboat or whoever. And in the early days of Crockett, Tony Schiavone used to be the timekeeper. And he would, at these live events, he was also the ring announcer. So he would go over the mic. He's like, 15 minutes remaining in the match, 15 minutes. So Flair would go to Schiavone ahead of time before the match and say, hey, you mind speeding up the process to the finish when you announce the time? He goes, I'm trying to get to the hotel, make it before the bar closes.
Yeah.
And so Schiavone used to skip every few minutes and be like, if he said it was 15 minutes left in the match, there was really 20 or 23 minutes left. He would do that so that nobody was keeping track of time. Some people might have had to watch and been like, whoa, wait a minute, their watch must be off. But for the most part, most people weren't paying attention to their watch because they were watching because they were focused on the match. So Schiavone makes a joke. He was like, Flair still brags about working 60-hour, Broadways with Dusty and Barry Windham, but most of those matches were 45 minutes because I was the timekeeper.
I'm telling you,
shaving up.
Going nuts. I'm telling you, they did that on live TV too. I'm telling you, it's the truth.
I believe it. I believe it.
It would be like 10-minute time line. I'm telling you, it would be like 6.5, 7 minutes.
Yeah.
You're like, no, you go,
exactly.
go.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, that used to drive me nuts. Like you're finally getting into the match, and bing, 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 and that wasn't 10 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you there. I used to feel that way sometimes too, watching wrestling as a kid. So, our last episode, we watched probably Ric Flair's greatest match in WWE, or his greatest performance in WWE, with the Royal Rumble win. Then you fast forward a year later, and it's his last match in WWE against Mr. Perfect.
Yep.
We were talking about this earlier with Randy Savage and having a place on the WrestleMania 9 card. Do you think Ric Flair could have had a place? The story is that Vince went to Ric Flair and said, we're going with younger guys. We're going with Bret, we're going with Shawn, we're going with Razor, and we're going to kind of phase back your role. You're not going to be the focal point. And Vince told Flair, if you want, you can You can give your notice, and stay until you get a deal with WCW. And Flair agreed, and so he gave his 90-day notice, and he wrestled for them, and he had already had a contract in place with WCW. He wouldn't appear for WCW until February, just a few weeks later at their Super Bowl pay-per-view. But the stipulation in his contract was following this was that he wasn't allowed to wrestle for WCW, I believe, for like 5 months, maybe 6 months, something like that. Something to that effect. He wasn't allowed to wrestle for 6 months. He can appear on TV in a non-wrestling role, but he can't wrestle in the ring.
Oh, that's funny.
Which is fucking stupid. But anyways, long story short here, I just went around the block.
Yeah.
Would there have been a place for Ric Flair on the WrestleMania card that year?
All right, so Yokozuna Brett was the main event. That WrestleMania, as we mentioned, was not a good one.
Yep.
So absolutely, put fucking...
Where would you put Flair on that card?
All right, so I'm trying to think who we had for a lineup. We could have done that. So you could have done maybe instead of Hogan in a tag match, you have Hogan
and Flair.
Oh, Hogan Flair. Yeah, absolutely. You finally get Hogan Flair. Why not? We're doing house money.
Yeah, you're playing with house money there. That's
Why
true.
not do it?
That's that's true.
Or maybe have then you have the because let's face it, and I don't think it took a rocket science to figure out that Bret Hart and Yokozuna was going to be a dud. So fucking have the way they did it in I get confused. For 10, do for 9. To have the winner of Hogan Flair wrestles the winner of Bret Yoko.
That's an interesting theory. See, I wasn't thinking that. I was thinking Flair and Perfect have this match, the loser leaves WWF match, at WrestleMania.
That would have made sense too. Yeah.
If I were to put, all right, and you also have to take into account too. I would imagine that the Ultimate Warrior and the British Bulldog would have been factored into WrestleMania plans because they were fired in November of '92 for steroid use. They tested positive, and they were let go. So I would imagine Warrior and Brett would have been a part of, or Warrior and Bulldog. This is my WrestleMania 9 card, okay? Brett and Yoko for the title, based on the Rumble, okay? I would still keep the tag match with Hogan and Beefcake against DiBiase and IRS, okay? Flair and Perfect, loser leaves WWF. I would still do, I guess I would still do Undertaker, Giant Gonzalez. Lex Luger, the narcissist, against the Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah.
Okay? Warrior was kind of a thorn in the side of Ric Flair and Bobby Heenan at that time. They brought Luger in to kind of counteract Mr. Perfect. Luger could be the one to try to take out Warrior. Match power for power. Razor Ramon and Randy Savage. Okay? Shawn Michaels, Marty Jannetty for the Intercontinental title.
Oh, come on. How could that not done? How is that not a WrestleMania match?
They fired Jannetty the day after the Royal Rumble. On this date.
What did he do?
They claimed he was drunk and fell asleep before the match at the Royal Rumble. But the story I've heard was that he legit was just asleep because he was tired from partying from the night before.
What a fucking idiot.
The Steiners and the Head Shrinkers still have their match.
Yeah.
Okay? Because that was a pretty fun match. And then the 9th match on that card, I would do Tatanka and Bam Bam Bigelow.
Yeah.
So you have 9 matches on that WrestleMania card. You get rid of Razor and Backlund.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Call an audible.
Yeah.
Tatanka Bam Bam. I keep Crush and Doink too. So that's 10 matches on that WrestleMania card.
Yeah, I like Crush and Doink. I like to finish that match.
Yeah.
You get the double doinks?
The double doinks, yeah.
Like
2
that.
finishes, yeah. So that would be but I like the idea how they did it with 10. Flair and Hogan.
Yeah.
So you say Flair versus Hogan, finally have that match.
I think
winner faces Brett and Yoko.
I think the biggest monstrosity.
I like that idea.
I think the biggest monstrosity in WrestleMania history, it's a tie for me. It's that we never got Hogan Flair and we never got Legion of Doom Demolition on a Mania.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me. That's crazy to me.
Yeah, I know. The crazier one is Hogan and Flair.
Yeah, but I still think Demolition. Anyway,
I'm with you.
Yeah,
I thought WrestleMania 7 was Demolition Road Warriors all day. Instead, they put Demolition in a tag match with 2 Japanese guys, and the Road Warriors beat the shit out of Paul Roma and Hercules in 15 seconds.
Makes no sense. Anyway, makes no sense.
We've talked about it before. We've
Yeah.
talked about it in this podcast. They thought that the Demolition Road Warriors matches, they weren't good. They didn't have good chemistry. They pulled the plug on it pretty quickly.
Damn.
It could have been, I don't know, whatever. But let's get back to this match here.
Yeah.
Flair, perfect. We talked about it in the car. You said this could easily be Mr. Perfect's biggest victory, biggest moment in the WWF.
I really do. At least for me, it's my so
Bigger than him win the Intercontinental title the first time from Tito Santana.
See, I
You
know
don't
of
remember
it. I know I
You
saw
don't remember it?
but
Yeah.
I don't remember it.
Yeah.
Like the 2 biggest moments is when he lost to Brett at SummerSlam.
Yep, that's a great
It's
moment.
a great match.
Yep, great
I
match.
can't believe it.
Classic.
Yeah, like had essentially a broken back wrestling.
Yep. Still put on a hell of a performance.
Unbelievable. That and this is my 2
Are his 2 big matches
Yeah.
from his time in the company?
So I think his biggest win per se. I think his biggest match. This is my most memorable. It's against Brett at SummerSlam.
Yep.
But
In WWF,
yeah.
I'm with you there.
that,
Absolutely.
But his biggest win, I think it has to be against Flair. I really do.
Yeah, I can't argue. It's hard to argue. It is. It's really hard to argue. Here's why. So this is coming from an overall wrestling fan. You're not just a WWF fan. You knew Flair from outside of WWF and NWA, WCW, whatever, right? So within the WWF bubble.
Yeah. I'm not talking when he won the 8.
No, I know. No, but
no.
I know that. But what I'm saying is, let me finish. What I'm saying is that within the WWF bubble, people didn't really know who Ric Flair was outside of the WWF. The people that just watched the WWF. And there was I listened to a Bruce Pritchard podcast recently where he had said that Flair thought he was a bigger star than he was when he came in 91, 92. But Flair was a big star in wrestling, but within the WWF scope of it, he wasn't as big of a deal as WWF fans thought he was.
Oh, I totally agree with that. I remember as a kid, people were like, "Who the fuck is this guy?"
Exactly. I got the same thing at the lunch table. Who's Ric Flair?
Who the fuck
And then
is this
I'd have
guy?
to
I'm
come
like,
in and bring
really?
in the magazines.
I'm
Like,
you didn't know?
4 Horsemen.
Hey, look at this. Him versus Magnum T.I. Come on.
Yeah. Sting, Dusty Rhodes,
Yeah.
Ricky Steamboat, all those classics he had, Yeah, my friends at school that watched wrestling, they had a hard time with it because they were like, they were.
I just thought it was funny but anyway, to bring that subject up, it's like the WWE guys would be like, you bring your magazines, you're like, really, you don't know who this guy is? And then they show it the WCW, you're like, hey, you think I watched the Uncle Bob wrestling? Come on.
Uncle Bob wrestling. Oh man.
But yeah, I used to hate that when you have like this 2-hour conversation with your buddy, but it'd be like all WWF stuff, right? Then you try to bring in some other federations, and they're like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" I'm like, "Oh no, come on!" That's why we find a connection. But I agree with that you can tell that promos when he had the WCW title belt, like he thought he was like hotter shit than he really was.
Flair?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. As a fan, I didn't see anything flawed in this run during his time in WWF. He won the Rumble. He was the champ. He had that great rivalry with Savage. The only thing that I didn't like about this run was the fact that he didn't wrestle Hogan at WrestleMania. That was the big caveat there. was that he didn't. Oh, that was nice. Little taped brass knuckles.
You don't think you did maybe like backstage politics, but like I'm not doing the job for Hogan. It's gotta be really.
We've talked about it before, but I think it's a combination of things. I think it's a combination of the fact that Hogan was leaving.
Yeah. Okay,
to take a break / stay off the radar because the feds were all over the company at the time. And I think they didn't want to put the title on Hogan. They didn't want to have the match because Hogan was leaving, and then putting the title on Hogan would be like a red flag to the feds because the feds was all over the company about regarding the steroid trial.
Yeah.
And they didn't want to end a WrestleMania with Ric Flair beating Hulk Hogan.
That's a good point.
But then they didn't want to waste a WrestleMania match with Hogan and Flair if Hogan was going to leave and his future was uncertain and Flair was still going to stick around. So I've seen interviews on DVDs and different retrospectives that the company has said that Hogan and Flair didn't draw well in like New York and Boston and all the major markets. That it just wasn't. Yeah, I watched the show recently a couple months back. It was on their old school section on the network. It was Hogan and Flair from Madison Square Garden in October of 1991, and the place was unglued when Hogan wrestled Flair.
You got a finger, right?
But I don't know what their criteria is for not drawing well.
Just out of curiosity, what was the Hogan would clean?
I think there was like a DQ finish of some kind. But I think that was designed for them to have the match at WrestleMania. I could be mistaken. I really don't know. But it was one of those things where when it was announced they were going to have the match after Flair won the Rumble and Hogan was named the number one contender. When they announced the match, it was like a dream come true. Finally, we're going to see these two go at it. One from the NWA, one from the WWF. And then they switched it up quickly after Hogan and Sid had that beef, and then they changed direction. It was just, even as a kid, it was disappointing. It just didn't make a lot of sense to me. Like Flair's going to wrestle Savage, and now. And don't get me wrong, I like the lead up. Perfect Plex, here we go. 1, 2, 3.
Good finish.
Oh, wow, out of nowhere.
Yeah, good finish.
Holy cow.
Not the greatest Perfect Plex of all time.
Wow. Well, this was the main event because it was about 3 minutes left of this program as we're watching it. Oh, man.
Oh, he's flipping out.
Yeah.
Bobby Heenan, besieged by the Foxy. Look at this. He can't believe what has happened. He can't believe that Ric Flair is no longer in the WWF. Mr. Perfect victorious and perhaps his greatest victory today.
I agree with you, Vince.
Bobby Heenan will never forgive himself for allowing Flair to issue the challenge and accept both men, Perfect and Flair, putting their careers on the line. But nonetheless, it's Mr. Perfect now who has chased Ric Flair out of the World Wrestling Federation. What action on Monday Night Raw? What action on USA? Yeah, Perfect!
All right.
So I'll put it out there to the listening audience are kicking on it too. If go to Facebook the kicking on it too, and if you agree with me, disagree with me, post your opinion. Mr. Perfect's biggest win in the WWF.
Was it against Ric Flair?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll put it up there.
Yep.
When we drop this recording, I'll put it up there for sure. A lot of fun watching this old Monday Night Raw.
It was fun.
We're getting towards the end of it. We got about a minute or so left, 30 seconds left of this Monday Night Raw. Crowd shot here. Looks like the Bushwhackers didn't make the cut.
Oh, no.
But next week we got Typhoon and Doink the Clown on an episode of Monday Night Raw as they're previewing the following week. I don't know if they taped the one following this or if it was live again. I'm not quite sure. And then, we are rolling credits. It's about that time. It's time to end this episode of Monday Night Raw, as well as end this episode of Kicking Out at 2. Thanks, Dennis. This was a blast.
It was a lot of fun.
Raw actually just turned 30. It's January 10th as we're recording this. Raw will turn 30 tomorrow, the 11th, but they're going to be celebrating it on the 23rd in Philadelphia. So this was kind of fun to go back a little bit, a little throwback, if you will, from the very third episode. Not the first, but the third. You can find the first episode of Raw in the archives at Retromania. Actually, I did a watch along of it by myself during COVID as a special request for Mike Ferrara, longtime fan of the show. So Kobe and I did it just recently, and we're looking forward to chopping it up, if you will, in public, if you will. But yeah, thanks, Dennis. This has been a blast.
Always.
February coming up. I think I got some ideas planned. We might even watch some Nitros. Maybe a Thunder. You hate it?
No, not hating it.
Oh, okay. Some ECW stuff. We're gonna go roulette style, if you will. I do. I'm kind of torn because there's some things I want to watch that I haven't watched in a while, like Andre beating Hogan with the twin referee finish.
Yeah.
But then I've also thought about maybe wanting to watch that episode of Monday Night Raw when the New Age Outlaws threw the dumpster over the thing with Cactus Jack.
I'm not a big fan of New Age Outlaws, but I love that rivalry.
Okay, maybe we'll watch that. I'm not quite sure. I'm kind of all over the place here, so I really don't know. So we'll see. But it'll be roulette style. We'll figure it out. We'll make it happen. And with that being said, I think it's officially about that time that we put this show down to the 3 count. We'll see you all next time.